Hello, guys. Thank you very much for joining. Hi, this is Ganesh Naik. I help finance professionals and students to excel in their career and become a better version of themselves. And I also guide students who are preparing for the CFA and the FRM exam. And today we have with us one of our students who has been able to clear the FRM Level 1 exam in the November 2022 attempt, and that was his first attempt. And we are going to talk to him about his journey, about the challenges that he faced, and how he prepared for the exam. With this, let us start with the discussion. Niraj, thank you very much for taking out time. It's very early morning, and thank you very much for taking out time. I really appreciate that. And for the benefit of the audience, if you could tell us when you started your preparation for the November 2022 exam, did you had any background of FRM? That means you did you prepare before that start date, and what was your work experience on that day?
Okay. Very good morning, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I started preparing for FRM November 2022 attempt
Hmm.
from the month of July. So if you remember, 6th of July was the date when I enrolled in your coaching for video series. I didn't
Hmm.
have, I didn't prepare for FRM L1 prior to that. I had an MBA in finance. So basically, whatever finance background to some extent that we have, that is the only thing what I had.
Okay, so and the total experience that you have, so you had 2 years of MBA in between, and if you combine only the work experience, what is the total experience
Work experience currently close to 6 months
after MBA, right
after
now?
MBA,
And
post
before
MBA,
MBA,
correct.
how many years?
Before MBA, I worked in an IT industry, close to 3.5 years.
So overall 4 years of work experience, and then you went for the FRM, right?
Correct.
Now, when you started the preparation, okay, which book you felt would create a problem for you?
Okay, so looking at the syllabus and all those things, I thought
Mhm.
book three and book four would be something that would be, a Herculean task. But as suggested by you, you had given that Excel, which contain all the list of 60 chapters, and you guided me, Neeraj, you should start from this chapter because time available with me was less since I was working. So I followed your tips diligently, and that is what helped me.
Okay, because generally what happens is that in that Excel tracker, for the benefit of the audience, we start with theory chapters, but because we started in July, so we started directly with the important
Book
chapters
three.
related to futures and options part. Now, how much time you were dedicating on a daily basis to prepare?
So daily basis on weekdays, I could only spare 2 hours roughly, but on weekends I used to spend more, 6 to 7 hours.
Okay. And on the weekday, what were you doing in that 2 hours?
So in 2 hours, I first used to go through your videos, jot down notes, and after that, I used to give sectional test if possible on that day, or for the entire week, that is 5 days, I used to give it in the weekend on weekends.
Saturdays and Sundays. Okay.
Yeah.
And on an average, how many chapters you were able to complete in a week?
In a week, if the chapters are not that heavy, I used to complete one chapter every day. But
Okay.
if they were heavy or my office work used to be much, 2, 3 chapters I used to do it. But on the weekends, then I used to compensate for the 2 chapters along with the test.
So on an
So
average,
I
five
kept that average.
chapters.
Yes, I
Five
kept that
chapters
average.
was some. Okay. Then, so you started on around 6th of July. And then
Yes.
when did you got completed with your reading and solving of question bank, chapter wise questions?
Okay, so I was doing it simultaneously. So around 22nd of October, I got my readings and all those things completed. After that, I went
Okay.
for revision.
And when you completed that by 2022nd October, what was your status with respect to book three and book four? I mean, you were confident or you were still slightly dicey कि पता नहीं क्या होगा.
Uh, Compared to what was my situation earlier at the start of the preparation, I was in very comfortable state.
Okay. Okay. So you were able to
So
manage it.
yes, yes.
Okay. And when you were solving the question bank, the chapter wise questions, so you obviously when you give a quiz, you will get some wrong answers. How are you taking care of
Yes.
those wrong answers?
So I used to revisit those concepts. If this is the thing, this question I've got wrong. So is there something lacking in my concept understanding that I used to go through? So at times, even I have made silly mistakes, like inputting the values in formulas or all those things, or getting confused between the two answers which are close by.
Right.
Again, that goes back to the conceptual clarity. So following this track, I went by, and that is how I managed.
Perfect. And then throughout this entire journey, was there any break in between in terms of when you were preparing every day? Was there any break?
During the time of Diwali, yes, there was a break, and even there was a break of 1 week in between due to my domestic issues, my family issues.
Mm.
Apart from that, nothing. But I did make it a point that I had in my mind I have to complete the portion and I have to attempt the exam and I have to clear it in the first attempt itself. So
Perfect.
whatever was the period lost, I regained it on weekdays, on weekends, and somehow I managed time and I completed it in that time span.
And when you were preparing, you prepared all alone, or you had some study buddy with you?
No, I prepared all alone. Of course, I had a study buddy with like you, Ganesh Naik
Acha, okay.
sir was always with
Okay.
me.
Okay. So, and when we went October 20th, okay, when you reached over
Yeah.
there, what was the strategy after?
So after that, I went ahead with uh, you know going through chapters which I found a bit uh, tough, or I would say I required more reading about that. So, like few chapters from book three and book four, and
Mm-hmm.
even few chapters from book two. So, I went through them again, and then I attempted GARP mock paper, sample mock paper. Due to time constraint, I could only attempt one.
Okay. But you had fun full reading after
Yes,
20th,
and
full
yes,
entire thing. Okay. So
yes,
this was your
entire reading.
second reading. This was second
Second reading,
proper reading. And then
correct.
with respect to the GAP sample paper, you
Yeah.
gave it in proper 4 hours at time.
Yes, yes, proper 4 hours time in one sitting itself.
What was the score that you got?
The score I got was around 53. Yeah.
Okay. And by looking at 53, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
The first thing that came to my mind, like I was not sure whether this score would be, whether it lies in good range or bad range. So if you remember, I had given you a call, sir, I have scored this much, and you guided me after that. Ki, you need to work in this direction, and that GARP paper is usually a bit easier as compared to a FRM. So you need to, maybe give one more reading and all those things, find out where which questions went wrong, revisit those concepts, and thereby go ahead with your
Mm,
preparation. I followed your strategy, the same thing.
got it. And then when you went for the exam day,
Yeah.
when you started solving, what happened in that first 1 hour?
First 1 hour, I would say, uh, the first 20-25 questions I got very tough. Like I was hardly able to solve 2 to 3 questions with full confidence. Like this is the correct answer, and I know it. This is the correct answer. That was my situation. But then I remember you had, in one of your videos talked key, if you find few questions that are difficult, maybe you should start from the end, go towards the end of the question paper or some other thing. So I changed my strategy because, that has a psychological effect on you. So I started from the last question, like 100 questions, and it was pretty easy. Like luckily I got the end questions were easy, were manageable,
Okay.
and I was very confident upon them. And then I came in reverse order.
So when you started doing reverse order till that 2025, you were able to do everything, or there were still difficult
For
questions in?
There was still difficult question, but not that chunk. That chunk of difficult question was not that big compared to
Okay.
when I started. 1 to 25 to 30 was a big chunk, but coming from the back, I didn't encounter that big chunk of difficult questions.
Got it. Okay. But more or less, okay, what was the bifurcation of your theory and calculation?
I would say 70-30. 70 was theory and 30% was this things calculation based questions.
Okay. So calculation, when you solved, you were getting the answers.
Yes, there were few which I was not getting. So what I did was all the calculation questions which were easy, which were manageable, I tried them first, and then I marked them which I was not able to do, and I revisited them towards the end of it.
Okay. What happened with theory? The rest 70 theory.
Yeah. So in theory itself, few questions were such, they were lengthy actually. The question being 2 to 3 lines, and even the answers, four answers, they were like 1, 2 lines. So, while reading it, even in 3 to 4 questions, I got lost. Like, I was not able to manage. I again went to the question and looked at it, looked at the answers, uh, like uh, zeroed down two options, but still I was not able to make it. So I made it a point again, just like the calculation questions. I'll take these heavy questions at the end, and then I'll mark the ones which I find the best fit.
Got it. Got it. And now, uh, when you were solving and when you completed your solving and you came out of the exam, what was that number in your mind? That out of 100, I would have got 70 correct, 60 correct. What was that number?
So I would say above 50. I was definitely sure I'm going to get above 50.
Okay. And you were confident on passing the exam?
Yes, I was confident on passing the exam. I was very happy with that. Though I found few questions that were difficult, but I changed my strategy as per what you said, and that worked for me in the live environment. That's very important. I'm not sure if I would have got hard questions even at the back of the question paper, then what would have been my situation. But your strategy worked for me. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
thankful to you for that.
And then what are the quartiles that you've got?
Yeah, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 2. That is my quartiles. I was
Okay.
expecting a 2 in book 3 as well. I am a bit disappointed with my performance in book 3.
But your quartiles are good in the sense that book two and book four, second quartile is good. I mean, a lot of people they face challenge in quants. They fear quant, and then because of which they end up getting third quartile or fourth quartile in quant. That's the general trend. And book three, see, getting a good quartile in book three is very tough because everybody starts from book three because it
Yeah,
is market related, it is easy to understand. So everybody is comfortable. So your competition is very high. But for book two, the competition is very low. So from that perspective, the performance was good, nothing to worry about. Now, if I ask you three tips that you would like to give to the students who are preparing for the FRM level 1 exam, what would those three tips be?
okay. So from my perspective, how I started preparation, I would say the first thing, uh, get into the mentality, get into the psychology that you will be able to clear this examination. Start
Okay.
with that positive mindset. Yes, there will be things, hurdles you will encounter, a few difficult chapters you will encounter. There will also be situations wherein you give a mock or you give a sectional test and you won't be able to, score that good percent of correct answers. Don't lose hope. Go back to where you went wrong, correct your mistakes, and come back. So that is the first thing. Start with a positive mindset. Second, make sure you follow the routine diligently, whatever has
Okay.
been like, however, like what timeline they set, how much time they are allocating towards the preparation. Make sure that you do your hard work and be diligent towards it, be consistent towards it. So I would say that would be the second point. And third point would be, from my experience, I would say get a good buddy like you, Ganesh Naik sir, which
Okay.
will, definitely help you in clearing your examination, and would be your beacon of light, which will guide you in clearing these examinations. So that is what three
I
things I would.
that's a see what happens is you when you're preparing on your own uh, through videos or you're even reading textbook on your own, you are not sure whether you're going in the right direction or whether the low scores you're getting is it normal. So that kind of help and support, if somebody can provide, that will help you to clear the exam, like you mentioned.
Correct.
And Now, when the results are out, what has been the feedback of people, your office friends, your college friends, and what has been the reaction?
Yeah. So first of all, there were few of my, colleagues in my organization. I worked in an IT organization for a banking client. So uh, when I told them that I'm starting the preparation in the month of July and for November attempt, most of them were skeptical. But after the results, when they were out and I cleared them, so all those folks, two to three folks who they came and they said, Ki, in less amount of time you have cleared it, like tell us what was your strategy on all those things, because they had earlier attempted FRM level 1 and unfortunately they could not clear it. So they might be of that opinion that this less time, 4 months, is not enough
Mhm.
to complete it. And the others, yes, of course, it was a very good environment, a feeling of achievement. Like whatever I had kept in my mind, I did it. I followed your plan, and at the end of it, hard work paid. So all thanks to you
Right,
as well. Yeah,
right. Wonderful. I'm very happy on your success, and a few things that comes out very clearly. First of all, starting on July 1st for November, you can still clear the exam. Okay, because a lot of
yes,
people right now, when they're reaching out to me in the month of January, also they want to give the exam in November. Okay, that is one point because they're afraid. They're saying, "कि अरे बहुत tough है. It is very tough exam." And all of that. The very important factor that also played in your role is that you followed the plan.
correct,
Most of them, what they do is they either they don't follow, they're not consistent in their preparation, or they just deviate from the plan, and because of which they are not able to judge whether the preparation that they are doing is it proper or not. So all of these things played well, and you gave consistent effort. I think so. All this will be the motivational point for audience who's watching this video, that you have to be consistent. You cannot leave it in between. You cannot say that, okay, I'll only prepare on Saturdays and Sundays. You have to give every single day's time and then prepare for the exam. That is one good point that happened. And I'm sure this interview is going to motivate them to give the exam, motivate them to create a plan for themselves and stick to that plan. And thank you very much for taking out time and giving insight on your journey. This is going to be really helpful to the other students. Thank you, Neeraj.
thank you, sir.